All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome. We are live. I'm here with Brenda and Kevin, and I'm really excited to have this conversation with you guys around marketing your expertise, to build your brand, to build your expertise. It's going to be an awesome, awesome conversation. So thanks so much for this. Very, very excited to have you here. So I'll start off by saying if you are joining this conversation, we encourage you to share your comments, share your thoughts, chat with us. Let us know what's going on. Where are you calling in from? Are you calling in from North America, South America, Africa, Europe, Asia, Australia? Let us know where you're at. I think that would be great. We'd love to see and love to hear from you. And this is brought to you by the Thought Leaders Branding Club. We are a TLB Club, or Thought Leaders Branding Club is a membership community designed to help small business owners elevate their brand, their business, their sales, and everything by being part of a meaningful group of people that all want to elevate one another. We share resources, we share tips, we share accountability goals and wins. We have weekly coaching calls, we have weekly training calls, and members get access to the entire library of 175 master classes, which we've done over the years, including featuring these two people as well, which is great. And you can join us at one of our weekly meetings every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern and see what it's all about. So and today's topic is about marketing your expertise. I've brought two of my favorite marketing branding experts, and not only are they prolific on LinkedIn, they're also doing stuff on other platforms too. So I think that's one of the reasons why I love having them here. We'll start with some introductions. Brenda, why don't you please introduce yourself, and then we'll go to Kevin to introduce himself.
Awesome. Well, delighted to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me, Bobby. And if you guys didn't notice my caption, Brenda Meller, I'm a fan of Bobby and Kevin's. That was my job title. When I came in here, I'm like, can I rename myself? Here you go. Brenda Meller, fan of Bobby. Because I really
That's
am.
nice.
These guys are like awesome. They're like my idols, and I follow them and I learn from them all the time. In my spare time when I'm not fan adoring on both of Kevin and Bobby, I do LinkedIn coaching. I'm an independent marketing consultant, and I help my clients with their LinkedIn presence as well as with their marketing through their LinkedIn profiles and pages. And I've been doing it for about 7 years, having a blast, and delighted to be here today.
Thanks, Kevin. Go ahead.
And I'm loving that I'm here with Brenda and Bobby, right in the middle. I think it's fantastic. You guys are amazing, and I learned from you as well. I think Brenda was the one who first taught me the was it co-opetition, and we do a lot of similar things. Brenda was smart enough very early on to know that you can work with those competitors, much like an athlete does when they run. If they have good athletes competing against them, they get better. So I love that. And I truly always owe that to Brenda. And, I help people eliminate what I call organizational and personal branding. And that was trying to be everything to everyone all at once and let the audience sort it out. Doesn't work. So I'm here to refine, and just happy to be here.
Awesome. And myself, I am a five-time TEDx speaker and Inc. Magazine Top 100 Leadership Speaker. I've done 1,000 keynotes workshops across 4 continents for the last 20 years. So professional speaking and training coaching is my main business, where I go to companies, conferences, and teams and help them with things like digital marketing, thought leadership, personal branding, content strategy, and things like that. I now also talk about LinkedIn and Twitter and video content strategy. But then my B2C thing is I basically help people land a TEDx talk to elevate their brand and their thought leadership. If you want to do more speaking, share your story, change lives, that's really what I'm trying to do for folks. And then, of course, I have the TLB Club, which is my membership community for those who are small business owners who can't afford those high ticket programs that I mentioned before that I sell. This is where you can get access to me and get access to me and some amazing people. If you want to learn more about the TLB Club, click the link there in the QR code. You can learn more about it. Let's get right into the topic. So, we chose the idea of marketing your expertise, and I guess the first question is always going to be, where do we start? Because you could start everywhere and you can do tons of things because marketing never ends. Marketing goes on forever. So I'll start with you, Kevin. Where do you get started? Like, what do you do to get going?
I've got a favorite platform, and that obviously is LinkedIn. It's where I've been home to social media, professional social media, since early '05. And that's where I focus. And, I do a dabble a little bit in YouTube, but anything more, I start to kind of split my message. I start to split my time. I don't do as well. So LinkedIn really is the place, with YouTube as my backup. And that seems to work really well for me. And people have to know their limits, right? As they get out there and they start kind of building that knowledge of them, they've got to know, how much can I do? How much time can I put in? Because it's not just throw it out there, kind of the post and ghost process. You've got to cultivate a conversation for any of it to work. So that's what I suggest. If anybody's out there, find that platform that feels and fits good for them, where their audience is and receptive, and go with it.
Brenda, what do you think?
It's interesting, when I was listening to you ask the question, and I was thinking of a different perspective when you said, where do you begin? I was thinking of not just a specific platform, but I always begin with, like, is it Stephen Covey who says, like, begin with the end in mind? Like, so think about, what are your goals for any of your efforts, whether it's social media or, for marketing in general, or for your business. What are your goals, and how 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 can you use these different platforms and avenues of marketing to help you to achieve your goals? So whenever I'm working with clients, I'm always starting with, even if it's a LinkedIn profile review or a coaching session, I'm always starting with, okay, well, tell me about your situation today. What brings you to me? And what are your goals for your business or for your career? And then let's figure out, what are the efforts you need to do against them. Now, my response layers really nicely onto Kevin's, because then it's like, where do we go? And where do we start to build up that presence? And I love when Kevin was saying, he's got the one network. And I think that's a really solid strategy. Pick one network, because you can get this shiny object syndrome. I got to be on Instagram. I got to be on TikTok. And you start to get so split into so many different places that you don't do anything. So it's better to pick one, and pick that one platform where your audience can be found. I think that's important, not just what you enjoy doing, but where your audience can be found, where your audience is hanging out. But I do have to say, Kevin is such a great expert on YouTube as well. I learn LinkedIn things from you all the time, Kevin, but I learn YouTube things from you as well. So what I find is, like, when you find an expert in one platform, you can usually follow them and learn from them in other platforms as well. And that's what we do as customers, as fans, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that what you're saying makes sense. And what I'll tell you is that in the early days, I was a personal branding expert, right? So, and personal branding is about clarity, focus, targeting, knowing yourself, knowing how people love you, and where your strengths lie. And so, when you find your superpower and how you help people, that's the beginning of everything. So, when you're trying to market yourself, what exactly it is you're marketing, I think the personal branding, a lot of people don't do the deep dive work into personal branding. I spend a lot of time educating people on that, because by doing that, you know how people love you, what they dislike about you, what they and how they resonate with you. And then from that, you then think about your target audience. Because the truth is, if you're a target audience, let's say, for example, you're real estate, and you know that there's certain platforms that are better for those things. So if you're in real estate, Instagram is fantastic for real estate, right? And so people are using that with videos and sharing the different spots. Not that LinkedIn can't be used; it definitely can be used. I think LinkedIn is definitely something should be part of your number one or your top three that you use. If you're into NFTs or cryptocurrency, you have to be on Twitter. That's where they're talking about it, right? And that's where they're engaging people. So you have to understand where your target audience is. That's really, really important. So I think that's the first step. And then when you start to know where you're going to go, then yeah, I mean, the other thing to consider too is how much time and resource you have. There are people who have lots of money. So there are startups that get $1 million seed funding. They can probably start 5 different platforms. For me, when I started out, I started on 3. I started on Twitter, I started Facebook, and LinkedIn. And then Twitter took off, put more energy there, and then LinkedIn became a place where I started putting energy into. Now what I do is LinkedIn's my primary. I then repurposed all the other ones. Like this is live streaming everywhere. So I know it's LinkedIn Live, but we're live streaming currently on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and several LinkedIn platforms. So this is really cool to see this. So I love this conversation, and I actually have a question. So I'm going to start with, and people are asking questions. You can put questions in the chat box. There's so many people showing today, which is fantastic. And I love co-opetition. That's something that I believe as a professional speaker, co-opetition is, we're all in the same business, and some people want to work with a person like Brenda or Kevin, or they want to work with me. So I think that's great. Here's a question. Why is the video vertical? Great question. I'll start with this because, in the beginning, they'd say always do landscape. But then what happened was people started doing more and more portrait. TikTok and Instagram Reels and YouTube Shorts, they are now a hot thing. LinkedIn just launched a whole platform that's all portrait feed. And also, most recently, I can tell you that LinkedIn is now putting some energy behind videos. And some of my colleagues are talking about this, and they're getting these videos that are getting, despite not having very many likes or comments on it, they're getting crazy views on these things. One of the members from my TLB club, she had 37 likes on a video, but it had 350,000 views. And then my friend Roy Kowarski got a video that had 3 million views. And then other people were talking about it, and I was frankly getting quite jealous. But then I did one last week, and it got 1 million views. I was like, holy crap, this is crazy. So, portrait views is really portrait videos is the way to go. And so I've switched now these live streams to doing portrait. But what about you guys? What are your thoughts on videos and doing them in portrait style from a marketing perspective?
I think it depends on, again, your audience. How do they receive? If they're more mobile based, then it makes sense. And the whole video tab component of LinkedIn is fascinating to me, because when you see a lot of the posts that get into the video tab, they don't have a lot of comments. They don't have a lot of reactions. And that's because those are coming from the actual video on the platform, as opposed to in that particular feed, the regular feed, right? And a view on the video tab is anytime you flick past a video. And if you look at it, you'll flick past 50 videos to watch one. Every one of those 50 got a view. And it went. And so to me, that video tab is a bit of a vanity metric kind of thing. It pumps us up, but it doesn't really change what we get from it. So if our customer is more apt to watch a square video, landscape video, or these kind of jail bar videos, the mobile style, figure out what it is. And I would say try different formats. And believe it or not, landscape is getting into the tab as well as square. So they're mixing it up as well. So I'd just say open it up, try it out, see who your client or your customer or your target responds to.
Brandon, what are your thoughts?
Something really interesting is going on right now. Look at this below. When we had a really long comment, it's hiding the third.
I know, I'm covered.
But I love stuff like this. It allows us to kind of experiment and learn from the process. And I think the video service providers are, can you put a small comment on there, Bobby, so we can see the difference? Like a long comment completely hides Bobby, a short comment doesn't. But it's almost like 2 lines of copy. I'm not sure if 3 lines of copy would be hiding it as well. But I'm always thinking, I'm kind of going from the analytical perspective, and I agree with Kevin, like think about where you're going to be, how your audience prefers to see it. When I'm filming video, when I'm capturing video, a lot of times I'm capturing it if I'm doing it on my phone, I'm capturing it in a portrait format, like the vertical format, but I'm thinking about, could I use this in a landscape format as well? Because sometimes you'll be cross promoting it on multiple networks. And I like that LinkedIn's getting into the video vertical space. I still feel like LinkedIn's trying to be like TikTok and Instagram. I wish LinkedIn would try to be more like LinkedIn, rather than try to replicate. We'll see if that pans out over time. I still feel like the video feed I think it's only open by invitation only to get your videos inside there. They haven't opened it up to everyone. And even, I'm one of those people they invited inside it. And I still have to like dig through my email and figure out who am I sending this to again? And what are the instructions? And then when I provide it to them, I don't know if it's getting in there. I don't hear, unless somebody messages me and say, hey, I saw your video in my feed. So I think you have to think about, if you are capturing video, I would say, think about capturing it. And could you use it in a different format someplace else? So if you're capturing it in vertical, could you use it in a portrait, whether you're editing it in like a CapCut or something else in there?
And a lot of video editing programs now, if you shoot kind of in this landscape process, they'll chop it up any other way you want it. And so if you think about it in that sense and put yourself towards the center, you can make, a vertical mobile video out of each one of our cells, right? So there's a lot out there that AI is helping us with as well. So, it gives us more flexibility.
Yeah, and I'll just add to that a couple things. So, you have to evolve with the way things are, right? And so LinkedIn, for example, even though not everyone's using the vertical, video feed. LinkedIn is very much like Facebook. It's a platform that has multiple ways in which to present content. So, they have the groups, they have all the different things. So it's a very different. And so, like you have people on Twitter and Instagram trying to form communities and groups, just like you have on Facebook. But, I think to me, LinkedIn and Facebook are more generalized platforms. Therefore, they should have everything. They should have all the things. I think LinkedIn should bring back stories because to me, it's a general platform for everybody. And the people who want to use it will then use it. Whereas, TikTok's focused on the videos, and same with Instagram. So that to me is a very interesting piece. And then the other thing I'll say is that, I used to do like square videos because they would be repurposed everywhere. But now what I'm doing is, when I do the portrait video, I always pick LinkedIn as my primary. Then I repurpose it everywhere. It goes everywhere. So it's not that big a deal for me to do that. And also, like you mentioned, the tools, right? The two big tools that I use is CapCut to edit my video, edit my pre-recorded videos. But then I also use Opus Clip to take my live streams and create amazing videos, with short bits. And that platform allows me to do portrait and square and different things that I want to do. So I think that, you have to adjust for your target audience, but I think it's important to use the tools. Which goes to my next question. What are some of the best, I guess, tools and apps you're using to market your expertise out there? Let's go to Brenda first.
I almost think about, like, if I were on a desert island and I only had one app to use, like, what's the app? I mean, questions are BS questions anyways, because you would never be on a desert island with one app to use anyways. But I think about, like, what's the most common app or tool that I use? It's Canva. I think that's the big one. I always tell people Canva's graphic design for dummies, but it's much more than graphic design for dummies because there's video capabilities and animation capabilities. Yesterday I was doing a presentation and I was in the presentation, I was telling people take pictures and post them on LinkedIn. And I had a visual of a camera and I created a movement on Canva. So there's a lot of things that you can do there. And I also created certificates. So it was a LinkedIn workshop and I printed out certificates for everyone in the room. And Canva now has a mail merge function where it's kind of like a Word document where you can take a list of attendees, create a certificate, put a field in that says put their name in this field. And I feel like Canva is like the widget that is starting to be able to do like I can almost do everything I need to do in Canva. I almost don't need any other. I use it for PowerPoint slides. Instead of doing PowerPoint, I do Canva presentation slides. So I don't know. There's not many things I need to do that I can't do inside Canva. There's so many other tools nowadays. What about you, Kevin?
I'm using more towards TechSmith. I use their Snagit product and their Camtasia product. And the latest Camtasia has a lot of incredible features for editing. I mean, they can take out all those pause words, right? They can take out spaces of time. Not only, let's say, if I said write a lot, which I do, I hate to say that, but you could actually say edit out write. And not only does it edit it out of the video, but it matches your lip. So if you ended with your mouth open, it's not going to start with your mouth closed. It's going to visually seam it. And you really can't tell. So to me, that's incredible. And another piece of this, Camtasia is now just getting into what I used to use with HeyGen, and that is the ability to not only translate, but tonal match your voice and also edit a little bit of your body, your mouth and things like that. So it perfectly works. I mean, I could do the presentation in French, and I've sent that to people and they said, I didn't know you were fluent in French. These are French people. So, it is that amazing. It is that tight. And I think that's cool. And I've done a couple experiments. I've got them out on YouTube. Very cool. So HeyGen's doing it and Camtasia's doing it. I love that because being kind of a global guy and living in 6 countries and doing business in 140 over the years, I got a lot of friends in different languages. So I love to send them stuff like that, little clips. Instead of me talking in English, I could be talking in Arabic or Hebrew or, whatever language I want to be talking to them in. And they get a kick out of it. They know I can't talk it, but they get a kick.
Yeah, and it's funny the whole idea of the desert island tool. I mean, I love using Canva. It's fantastic. I love using CapCut. It's hard for me to choose. I have other, and one of the things that I did was I invested heavily last year into AI tools because I knew that they'll offer you these really, really good prices that you can grandfather in or
Mhm.
lifetime access, and they're going to start adding more and more stuff to it. So one of the ones that worked really well for me was this thing called Cast Magic. And now it has so much functionality for recording all my stuff, giving me transcripts, all these amazing things. And now it can produce newsletters for me and
Yes.
all the stuff. And I am loving that one. And same with Opus Club. There, I think if Opus Club starts creating newsletters, maybe I'll choose that one versus Cast Magic. So, and there's other ones that are falling by the wayside. So it's really interesting to see kind of how that works. So I'm loving the fact we have all these people who are, and I remember Camtasia back in the day. I used it years
Mhm.
ago, but I love that a
Oh,
lot of
they've
people are
ramped
commenting
it
like
up
crazy.
too.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I do have another question for you guys. This one is from Christy Klein. She says, "What is something each of you do differently or uniquely to market yourself as a thought leader?"
Hmm.
Uniquely.
I don't, do we know that? I don't know that we know that, like I know what I do. I know some of what you do. I don't know that we do anything uniquely. I think maybe it comes a little bit from our background, like what were we doing before we're doing what we're doing now? And for me, I was a corporate marketer for many years. I went to school for marketing. I was advertising first and then retail marketing and CRM, contact center marketing, and higher education marketing was my last job before moving into what I'm doing now. So I think it might be what we bring into our roles. And I think we are all three enthusiastically self-employed, if I'm not mistaken. We're working for ourselves
Mm.
instead of working for a company now. But I think probably what we bring into that is our expertise from our corporate careers into what we're doing now. Is that fair to say? What do you guys think?
Well, I think for you, Brenda, I was thinking about the fact that you talk about the slice of pie. I think that's a very
Oh.
unique proposition that sets you apart. Like, why don't you tell people what you do about that?
Yeah, so the pie thing, it was actually not even an intentional branding element. Kevin talks a lot about, personal branding and getting away from the blanding. I mean, for me, it was I was getting tired of doing the standard PowerPoint presentation and I wanted a different slide deck one day. And I think I typed in PowerPoint templates and I found like a deck that was like pie themed. And I did some modifications, and one slide was a picture of apples, and the next pie slide was like apple pies, and every other slide had something. And I created a hashtag social media pie. And I truly do love pie. Like growing up, pie was probably one of my favorite desserts. I have some good memories of my mom baking pies at the Michigan State Fair. So it was something I really did enjoy. But I created a hashtag. People started using it and they kept using it. And then I started using pie analogies in a lot of my posts and advice and things like that. And then I created a book and I wanted it to be a little different. So I called it Social Media Pie instead of a LinkedIn book. I called it Social Media Pie, how to get a bigger slice of LinkedIn. And now even on LinkedIn, I've got the pie emoji after my name. So when someone says, hey, Brenda Meller, it's like you're giving me a slice of pie when you tag me in a post. I'm always like, oh, that's so nice. Thank you for the pie that came along with it. And yeah, I guess it's become part of my personality. And what I love about that, and this advice for anybody here watching, is pick something that you are passionate about that has nothing to do with your business. Pie really has nothing to do with LinkedIn at all. Pie is a baked good that we eat as dessert, sometimes as breakfast, no judgment. But pick something that you are personally passionate about and then weave it into your stories. My friend Stacy Dobis, she uses a panda. She's got a panda emoji as part of her name, and she shares photos of and jokes of pandas on Fridays now. So everybody has their thing, but pick your thing and start to make it part of your personal brand.
How about you, Kevin? What are you doing to market yourself uniquely?
I like a turn of phrase, a set of words that you remember, right? I've got a few that, I have out there that people come back to me and they go, I know that came from you. This is yours. I get people who will even mention it in other things and they'll mention my name. Get those kind of terms that you can get out there that you can then own in the process. And it's whether you're bringing them through videos, through written content, through graphics, establish them and they'll see it and they'll come to you when they think of it. So, I think that's, a smart place to start. Make it memorable, make it drive, make it so they understand who you are, right? What do you do? And that's one of my favorite things is just playing with words. Get the words right, right? And I think that's a big piece of it.
I think for me, there's different parts of us that make us, stand out, that makes us more unique. So you have to kind of be clear on what are your different superpowers. There's different things you can do with branding when it comes to some people use color. Like I know people use the color blue or the color red. The pie thing I think works really well.
Mhm.
I think Kevin talked about personal branding, and that's something that no one else has said, and you keep saying it. So I think that is
And it's
sort of
TM.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that type of stuff works out really well. And for me, like I try to find things that like one of the things that I do that I think sets me apart from most people is I'm really one of my expertise is vulnerable storytelling, and I do that very well. I share my challenges with binge eating, body image, parenting my teenagers, my aging parents, the struggles I have as an entrepreneur, feeling lost, feeling overwhelmed, whatever it might be. I share those things and I share those stories because I know people are listening. They're learning, they're consuming, they're not commenting, but sometimes they'll comment 5 years later or 2 years later, which is
Mhm.
amazing. So for me, that has been a point of difference compared to other people. I'm willing to talk about those things more deeply, more vulnerably, more, I guess, rawly than other people might. So I think that's kind of what I'm doing. But it's good for you to figure out what exactly is unique about you because there are a lot of people out there who are coaches and expertise and speakers and blah blah blah. So how can you set yourself apart?
Well, I always love that there's so many experts out there and they say, this is exactly the way you have to do it. You have to
Right.
tell them everything, or you have to do this, or you have to do that. You don't. If every one of them will also say, be authentic, right? If you don't share too much in your personal life, don't share too much and push it and get uncomfortable, right? If you can give personality, that can work as well as personal. And so find what works for you. Don't always listen to the experts and say it has to be done this way because that's not authentic. Not everybody is done one way. Find yours. And I think that's really important to do.
Yeah, and there's a question coming up too. And again, people are listening to this. This is brought to you by the Thought Leaders Brand Club, the TLB Club. Again, the TLB Club is a community designed to help entrepreneurs and business owners level up. So if you want to learn more about the TLB Club, by all means, check out our page and you can see kind of what we're up to. I know it's over by Brenda, but normally I'm on top, but she's on top. So it's right there. You can check that out. You can take a look at it and you can see what
There's
we're
a
all about.
QR code. Do you see that?
Yeah, someone scanned it.
That's
Woo.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, that is cool. I can see what's going on. That's really cool. Awesome. So, but there is another question in the feed there, which is, how to build a small business that's still sustainable. So, I mean, again, when it comes to marketing your expertise and for those who are just starting out, and they're struggling and there's difficult to figure out where to spend their time. I guess maybe some advice to help this fellow out. Brenda, would you like to start with this one?
Yeah, without knowing what your business is, I'll kind of draw from my own
Sure.
experience, and maybe this will be helpful for that person. There's an expression, cash is king, and cash is the lifeblood of your business. And we hear a lot about this. So in the beginning phases of your business, I think a lot of people will spend a lot of time investing in growing the business and building the website and creating the marketing and getting the logo and doing the business card. You need money for all of that.
Mhm.
So I'm more of a scrappy entrepreneur, and I've always tried to align my expenses with my revenue. I've never tried to, go into debt to build my business. I've always tried to like align, and sometimes you need to cut those expenses as you're going. So I think in the beginning, you've got to figure out what do you have that's marketable that people are willing to pay for and getting some clients early on. And I think for me, and maybe I'm not sure if Bobby and Kevin, it was the same for you. Like in the beginning, I did anything. Like if someone said, "Can you do a marketing plan?" Yes, I can do that. Can you launch a website for us? Yes, I can do that. Can you do social media management? Yes. Can you train my team in LinkedIn? Yes. I would do everything because I needed money coming in. And then as my business started to solidify and I started having enough revenue that I could kind of look at things and have money to pay for a website and to pay for a logo design. And then I started looking at what do I enjoy doing? I don't really enjoy doing website design. I can do it, but I don't enjoy doing it.
Mhm.
So I think you need to start with like having some structure of having something that is sellable, that is marketable, that people are paying for. And then over time, you need to start to refine what are those offerings so that there are things that you're enjoying doing. Now, there might be a completely different methodology out there that says start with doing what you're good at and only that. I just feel like realistically, if you are just starting your business, you're hungry and you need the income to go in.
Mhm.
So, Kevin, what are your thoughts? Does that prompt
Well,
anything?
I started my business as a side gig, right? While I had a salary, health benefits coming in. And so I
Right.
started at, and probably for at least 4 or 5 years, I had another income, right? So it allowed me to get in, and I really focused on 4 things I do well that I know I could do better than anybody else I knew at that time. And I used to refer people. So if somebody wanted a website built, I can write websites. I could probably get in there and fudge it around on a program and create a great website, but it's not my expertise. I would take 3 times as long. I refer to people and they ultimately refer back to me. And to me, that was a big piece of growing, was to know when I should say no, when I shouldn't say, yeah, I could do that, right? And it was the best interest of the client. I would tell the client, I can do this, but in your best interest, I want you to talk to so and so and so and so and tell me what you think. And that worked out very well for me. It took things off my plate that I shouldn't have. But again, I kind of walked into it in that sense. And then at one point, I was traveling 80% of my month, wrong side of the globe, coming home one weekend a month and wanting to sleep while everybody else was awake, raising a family. I said, psh, and we cut it loose. And me and my wife went full in to the business, and we've never looked back. So, for me, it was kind of a training wheels in, a little backup, and then just kind of really starting to build a network of people that I could refer to that would refer back.
I started 18 years ago, and what I can tell you is that your biggest marketing tool is you, right? Because you are the face of the business and you are the brand ambassador for what you're trying to work on or sell. And so it all comes down to relationships, right? Build those relationships, network with
Mhm.
people. And if you can do that really well, what happened for me in the beginning of my business was, I had built up such great social capital and relationships with people. I was able to get a ton of stuff done for me for free. So, for example, my first website was done for free by a friend who I had partnered with. My first business cards and brochure was done by another friend who loved me and wanted to help me out, and so she did that. So I was able to get a lot of, and so I collaborate with people, I partner with people, we do value exchanges. But to me, hustling my personality and supporting them as well, that went a long way to the beginning parts of the business. What I didn't have back in the day was community like the TLB Club that I have and what other people have in their communities. I was just going out there and using those relationships. So I think that to me is something you can do for that question. So some really good questions here. I love this. Thanks so much for everybody for this.
Mhm.
And again, we're talking about marketing your expertise. I kind of want to, I know that we talk a lot about LinkedIn, and you 3 of us are very, very big on LinkedIn. So I'd love for you to talk about when did you decide to expand to other ones and maybe why you did that? Kevin, I'll start with you, and then we'll go to Brenda.
My other one technically has been YouTube, and interesting enough, I've had several YouTube channels. Starting back about 15 years ago was the first one. It's still out there. It still does well. It has nothing to do with LinkedIn. It has nothing to do with my business. It's called Real Modern Homes, and it was just kind of categorizing homes I owned and also sharing others. And YouTube is a natural place for me to go, because what I try to do is to kind of help people understand things, educate people in different ways. And I love the entertainment kind of education that YouTube provided. But how I really got back into it was LinkedIn didn't do closed captioning for a long time,
Right.
and I wasn't going to load videos onto LinkedIn without captioning. So I started going to YouTube, and I would upload the video on YouTube, get the closed caption, bring down the file, and I would bring that over to LinkedIn so I could do that. That's how I got in, and I thought, why am I not keeping knowledge over here and be able to send people? Because I have people who come to me and say, well, how do you do this, this, and this? And you can retype that every time, or you can cut and paste it into something. I just said, here's the link. And that's my give back. And it's also a way for them to understand that I know this stuff, and they share it with others. And it always kind of comes back in that sense. I'm a true believer in give it all away, right? Because all you're doing is you're giving out the science.
Yeah.
They're going to come back to you for the art, and that's how you implement it. And so I think that's huge, and it's always done me well. YouTube was that little extra piece that helped me build even more on LinkedIn.
Brenda, what about you? What do you think?
So I started on LinkedIn. I was actually anti-social media back in the day. Like everybody was on the Facebook bandwagon. You need to be on Facebook. I'm like, I'm not doing that. I don't even know what this Facebook thing. I didn't want to do Facebook. I resisted it.
Right.
And when I joined LinkedIn, I was in corporate marketing, and my role was overseeing social media. So I needed to get on. So I think I did get on. I don't know which one was next: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Kind of a little bit of everything. But for me, I've always dabbled in what I see as the emerging platforms because I want to have some knowledge about them. I personally like to claim my name and my company name on those platforms so nobody else can. Now I know Kevin Turner has, he has Kevin D. Turner for a reason because there's a lot of other Kevin Turners. There's not a lot of Brenda Mellers that are out there. There's a few, but it's more, I want to have a presence on networks where I think there might be some opportunity for me. And I think
Mhm.
more important thing for your audience to think about is what are your business goals? What are your career goals? And then how can social media help you with that? You may only need LinkedIn. You might not need to have any other presence on any other networks. And if you do, maybe LinkedIn is to support your business or career goals, and Facebook is just for friends and family. So your goals are different there, keeping in contact with people and whatnot. And
I need to
interesting,
go
Bobby.
back and redirect people from
Yeah.
my Facebook, from my X, from my
Yeah.
threads, and just say, if you want me, I'm on
Yeah. Go
LinkedIn
find
or
me
I'm on
there.
YouTube, right? Because
So what's
I
interesting
don't
for
check
me,
them.
Bobby, is that you mentioned I know Twitter's one of your big networks, and you still call it Twitter, right? Do you call it X, or
I call
are
it.
you?
It's Twitter. The brand is Twitter.
Yeah.
People only call it that other letter because of some emotional projection of an immature tech billionaire.
So I
But
mean,
that's all I say
you've
about that.
embraced the network, but it's even like Facebook that they're trying to call. We're trying to call it Meta. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
it's Facebook. I can't call it
Yeah.
what it isn't, what it
Right.
was from before. But
Right.
it's
Now,
kind of
what if they change
interesting.
LinkedIn's name? Because we do have immature billionaires running LinkedIn too.
I
So
mean,
what if they change the name? What if they make it
my
Z? Are you going to call it
my
LinkedIn?
target audience on Twitter knows that it's Twitter, and so the ones who are actually just the bros who follow that guy. So for me, I call it Twitter, and that's the brand. I call it Kleenex for a reason. I don't call it the Costco brand tissue paper. I call it
Facial
Kleenex.
tissue.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. I don't call it facial tissue. So for
Yeah.
me, that's kind of that's kind of my take. Now going on to the marketing piece. I mean, yeah, I dabble in. So for me, I'm on every platform. Now, I set up an account on every platform, but to Kevin's point, they're all redirected to where I normally am, right? So
Mhm.
LinkedIn's the main thing. The main thing for me is that, I think there's a couple reasons why you want to go multi-platform. One is because you want to reach diverse audiences because you never know that someone's going to like what you shared on Instagram or Twitter or Threads or whatever that might be that gets their attention. You can still redirect them to your primary base. That's the first thing. The second thing I'll say is that um, and also to that point, there's some things that are just better. So I'll give you a good example. Dan Roth, anyone know who that? Daniel Roth, he's the editor in chief of LinkedIn, right?
Mhm.
Now, when he does a post, you can comment on it. He might engage. Okay. Has anyone sent him a direct message? I have. Has he responded? No. But where did I get a reply from him? On Instagram.
Mhm.
And what I found from a DM strategy, Instagram has the highest proportion rate of people who reply versus any other platform.
That's interesting.
So it's a place for me to DM people and actually get responses. So that's something that you have to understand about the different platforms. You can get better results from that with the DMs over there than any other platform. And the
Was
other
it
thing
Dan
is,
Robbie, or
what's that?
was it him? Was it Dan Roth responding, or was it a
Yeah.
team member responding
No,
from
no,
him?
no, it's him.
Yeah, interesting.
Because because Instagram he's talking about more personal stuff, right? And so he was more willing to share personal. I shared a response. He's more willing to share. So it was more casual. It was on a weekend, right? So he responded to me, which is great, and that makes me more in his mindset or being aware of who Bob Umar is, right? The other reason why you want to be on multiple platforms, and again, I understand having one primary, is because you can get locked out, right? And we're all living on rented real estate. When you're marketing expertise, your real estate on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, that's rented real estate. I mean, Twitter's a good example because, Elon Musk is, destroying it. And, people like Bobby, why don't you just leave and go to Threads? Well, I am on Threads, but, I also still get business from Twitter. So I'm going to continue doing it. It's definitely impacted the effectiveness of what I'm doing there. But, and I have other people been locked out of Facebook, locked out of LinkedIn, locked out of other platforms. I personally have been locked out of Tumblr for some reason. Not that I use it, but
Tumblr.
I got an email saying
What
you're
is
locked out. I'm
Tumblr?
like, what the hell? So you know, yeah. So I mean, for me, like, you want to get them into your email. You want to get them into your own community so they can see who you are and what you're doing, and that's why it's so important to have a multi-platform strategy to market your expertise, because you never know who's going to like your expertise wherever you're putting it out there. That's my take, and I'm sticking to it. All right. Well, I mean, I know a lot of people have. If you're listening in, if you have a question, we're talking about again, we're talking about marketing your expertise to build your thought leadership. We have Brenda Miller and Kevin Turner here. They're both really, really awesome people. So make sure you follow them and see what they're up to, not just on LinkedIn, but all the platforms they're on. If they're on everywhere, follow them everywhere, and then send them some messages. If you guys have questions, we'd love to have you guys share some questions. I think the conversation is going very, very well. Maybe it might be kind of fun for us to ask each other a question. How about that?
Ooh.
Does anybody want to ask someone a question? Like,
I asked Kevin a question. So
okay.
Kevin, what's the latest LinkedIn feature change or retired feature or stuff? Like, what's the newest and greatest? Because whenever I find something, I'm always like, I send it to Kevin. I'm like, and he's like, that was 3 months ago, Brenda, and I'm always like, oh. But he's like the go-to for everything new and exciting and sometimes sad because they retire features.
Yeah.
Because I love LinkedIn, but LinkedIn does a really poor job of communicating updates. Kevin is the guy. You need to be following him for the latest and greatest, because he's got like an army of us that are like finding and sharing things. So what's the latest thing that came in, Kevin?
And Brenda, thank you for that. That was really nice. I have to say that, it's not just me. It is a tribe of eagle-eyed and caring hearts, but they're all contributing. And one of the things I do is I give everybody credit who gives it. I don't ever pretend like I was the one who discovered all of this stuff, because nobody can, right? 5 waves of rollout, nobody can do it. So to me, that share is important, not only for, you say you just discovered it, right? You didn't know it was out there for 3 months. There's still stuff that I have on that list that I don't have, right? So I would never have known about it if I hadn't kind of cultivated this group who wanted to share. And that's how you got to do that and give credit. Now, the biggest thing that's happening right now, you really can't see it. And that is LinkedIn has changed from a kind of service process, kind of SaaS video processing, streaming into LinkedIn to do video. And they've inserted what is a native video backbone into LinkedIn. That opens up a lot of options. That opens up the fact that you could grab your phone, pull up your LinkedIn app, and do video comments potentially to stuff. You could do your video right out of the phone, right into LinkedIn, and be done. You could have a audio room with, instead of those little pictures coming up and people being pulled out of the audience, right? For audio, they're going to pull them out and they're going to be video, and they're using their desktop or their mobile. So much more flexibility in the way video is going to be used. And to me, that's exciting. Where do they take it? I don't know. I know I did the beta tests on the video rooms, the video events. I don't know how long that's going to be till they get that out, but that to me is huge. I love
Like
audio rooms, but I like to see people move. So
Is that
I'm
going to be
excited
like a
about that.
Zoom, Kevin, where everyone's on video instead of just a live stream where the hosts are only on video?
It could be, but it'll be very much like an audio event where whoever's hosting it pulls people up, right? And when they're up on stage, if they're talking, their video's live.
Okay.
If they're not talking, it's a still, right? It just captures the last still, or you can put your own picture in there to use. That way you never have a bad hair day until the video goes live. But I think, to me, that's just exciting. I love that, because I love audio rooms, but there's that connectivity that I would like to see, people moving around. But I think that's one of the latest, sadly, we figured out this week that they've taken the live previews off all profiles now. So, when Brenda would do a live, or Bobby, I could go right to your profile and I could see it open up in the banner.
Right.
It's gone now. Now, hopefully that is something they're just coming back with maybe as they get the backbone all set up. But I don't know. You
I
know,
just wonder, like, I wonder why they did that. I wonder why they removed it. I wonder why they started it in the first place. I always look at follow the money, figure
yeah.
out, is there a way that LinkedIn can monetize the platform, or that they're giving a feature to premium or paid members or advertisers or things like that. And we can't fault them. LinkedIn is a business. We're all business owners. We have to make, I mean, I said that earlier. Money, cash is the lifeblood of your business. You have to have
Mhm.
cash to be sustainable. But what
I
I
think it's
wish,
all bandwidth.
yeah, what I
It's
wish is
costing too
that
much to do.
there's
Hi
people
there.
like Kevin and Bobby, and there's so many of us out there that are passionate about. I wish like LinkedIn would reach out to us, the coaching and training community, and
Yeah.
say, "Hey, we're thinking about doing this. What do you think the user feedback would be, or would this be helpful for you?" Like we would tell you before you launched features and before you wasted a lot of time and money and invest. We would tell you. We would be very candid with you on that. If LinkedIn is watching, listen to us. But they
I mean,
probably
the money thing is important because the money thing for sure. Like I think they removed that banner video thing. They moved the profile video. They moved the stories because it's expensive and they don't want to do it. And what percentage of users use it? But again, I think that if you're going to be a platform, you should give us as many options as we can to want to stay on here and do all the things we want to do. So that becomes a bit of an issue. There's some more questions in the thing. I want to make sure we get to them. So one was, Bobby, how do you find time to do client work if you create content on so many channels? Great question. So, at the end of the day, number one, LinkedIn is my primary. I allocate a certain amount of time per week for my content creation strategy, and the majority of it's on LinkedIn. However, I have a team helping me with what's being posted. So one is, I have these live, for example, I'm doing this live stream, and I've done other live streams using Opus Clip to then generate 20 different clips, which then my VA then posts on TikTok, Instagram, Reels, and YouTube Shorts. Great, no problem. It generates AI copy for them, tags the people that are in it, and I think that's something that works very, very well for me. So, I've also have other tools where, for example, if I post an image on Instagram, it automatically shares on Twitter. And when I upload a YouTube video, it automatically posts on my company page, Facebook page, and on Twitter. I use if this then that to automate those things. So this is a way where I'm actually able to, spend my 12 hours per week on marketing my expertise, and I'm not going crazy with other things. And then when it comes to client work, yeah, I mean, the thing is, I am getting clients from the other platforms. So for me, that's where I'm going to respond to those messages and get those clients. So I have client time, marketing time. We all have to do the different things. So that's kind of my answer to that. You guys have any thoughts on that or anything you want to add before I go to the next question?
over the past year, I've been paring back. And I know, Kevin, you said you do a lot of things for free, and I do a lot of things for free as well. But when I do group coaching or office hours or things like that, I'm like, they're getting access to me. And similar to when you said, Bobby, if people want to get access to me, you've got to join the thought leadership branding community. I think, as a smart business owner, as a smart entrepreneur, you only get 24 hours in a day. None of us get more than that. So you got to figure out, how do we monetize a portion of that so that we can continue to be enthusiastically self-employed and we can continue to run our business. But I think, Monica, to answer your question, it's Bobby's very strategic and intentional about his time. He manages his time. He doesn't let his time manage him. So he's very strategic about what he does in there.
That's the key.
Awesome. There's another question. I think this one's for Kevin probably. Can you compare Camtasia Studios with LinkedIn Video? I'm not sure what that comparison is, but tell me about it.
I'm not sure, but Camtasia Studios, I use Camtasia Studio Pro. It's just as far as putting together video, it has formatting in there that will help you create a video that formats well for LinkedIn. They can format for other, platforms as well. I don't really think of LinkedIn as a place where I would create video. I think of LinkedIn as a place where I deposit video, right? After it's created. Now that could change, with this native video stuff. You could see more people just coming on and putting the video together. No, don't even worry about editing it. I rarely edit anything. It's you get what you get, right? If I bloop, you get what you get. And so I think we're going to see a lot more of that.
Okay, thank you for that. And we're getting to the end of this. If you guys are enjoying this conversation, by all means, watch the replay, ask us questions after. Tag. You can share it on your own networks, and if you share it on your own networks and tag us, we will be very, very appreciative. And going back to the thing about the free stuff. Look, my content strategy, my audio rooms, my live streams, those are all the free stuff, right? And then people can even access TLB Club by coming to our Thursdays calls for free, and that's fine too. I think that to me is an important piece. So there's lots of things you can do to market your expertise, and Kevin already said this idea that we give all information we give away all the information. People will still come to us for implementation, support, and other things that they may want to do. So I think that to me is really important. So with that, my last question I'm going to ask, and there's actually there's a question here that Monica, then I'll ask another question. How much content do you give away for free versus paid? I know many people use free content as lead magnets. Brenda, you want to talk to that?
Yeah. So I've definitely been shifting to be more intentional about when I do give out content for free. So if someone emails or texts me or direct messages me a question, I don't just answer that one person. I use it as content. I do a post about it and I do a featured question and answer. Or like Kevin does, I might say I have a video about that already, or I might say I have a blog about that already. So, and if I don't have something, I was doing a training yesterday and someone said, well, you've got a blog about the LinkedIn experience section. Do you have a blog about the link or the LinkedIn about section? Do you have one about the experience section? I'm like, nope, but I'm going to do one. Now that you've asked for it, I'm going to do one. The other thing I've been doing is moving people into, moving them into my VIP email community by way of checklists. So if you go to mellermarketing.com/checklist, I think I've got like 8 checklists right now, everything from 15 LinkedIn profile tips to coaches and consultants to creating a company page on LinkedIn. I've got a couple job seeker lists, like do this now if you've been laid off. So you give me your email address and I give you a free download. And in exchange, you come into my VIP email list community where then I have the ability to communicate with you. And to piggyback on Bobby's earlier point, we are living on rented real estate on social media. So by bringing them into my email community, bringing them into my ecosystem, I'm not relying as heavily on LinkedIn or some of the other networks, because if LinkedIn shuts me down or puts me in jail, which they've done, and I've done nothing wrong, I just got caught in the crosshair, so to speak, I still have the ability to communicate with my clients and with my members. So I think being strategic about setting some of those processes up and giving them something of value. Because if you're going to give me your email address, I've got to give you something really good for it. So I like the checklist as a way of doing that.
Great question. And I can answer that too. One of the things that for me is, lead magnets are really helpful. I mean, and the tip I'll give you on lead magnets is that, so I'll use my TEDx thing. So my main thing is I help people land a TEDx talk guaranteed to elevate your personal branding and thought leadership. So I'm running actually a TEDx event, in a couple of weeks, and you can certainly click on that and learn more about it, and that you check the QR code. But one of the ways that I help people with the TEDx journey is I help them with the first step. The first biggest step with TEDx Talks is, how do I come up with an idea? And so what I've done is I've created a lead magnet called the Get Your TEDx Idea template. And it's like, 4 pages long, but you can click the QR code, this one, and you download it. You're now part of my email marketing system. I'll then invite you to, the other stuff that I'm doing, right? So that is, it works very, very well strategically to get people along that marketing funnel. So then eventually they'll join the TEDx event, which is on October 5th, 14th, and that's kind of how it comes into play. So, I'm doing different things, and I think Brenda also is doing different things too, which I think is great. So these are great questions, and I'm glad you're all here. I know we're near the end of the time. So Brenda, before we close, I'd love for you to, pitch your brand or business and encourage people to follow you and join your stuff. So why don't you tell us a bit about what you're doing and how people can join you?
Well, first of all, I want to give a shout out to Bobby for organizing this, the Thought Leadership Branding Club, which is an amazing membership organization, and Kevin D. Turner, who is my go-to. I mentioned your name like yesterday when I was doing training. I'm like, Kevin D. Turner, you guys got to follow him. Like, I mention him all the time with the amount of expertise and
I
resources.
mentioned Kevin too, actually.
Right? So I mention them all the time. But if you're interested in getting a bigger slice of the LinkedIn pie, I do specialize in working with people who are self-employed. And I also help people that are job seekers or thinking about a career transition, as well as corporate employees. So if you want one-on-one help with LinkedIn, profile optimization, team training, or if you're looking at learning in a group coaching or an online space, I do have some online courses as well. Make sure that you look me up on LinkedIn, or you can go to mellermarketing.com to learn more about any of my services. And again, Bobby, I just want to say thank you so much. We can't see him right now. We know he's there. But this has been so much fun joining you and Kevin. It's been a highlight for my day. So thank you again for the opportunity.
Kevin, how about you? Share your brand. Tell us, market your expertise for us. Can you do that for us right now?
Absolutely. Well, and I love everything that Brenda just kind of brought through, and I appreciate being here as well and being here with both of you because I have great respect for that. And to me, it's all about kind of helping people really refine what their message is, what their brand is, maybe even how they want to approach the market itself. And I do have a concentration on documentation, and LinkedIn is a big piece of it. Got a incredible amount of written recommendations that I always suggest people go to my profile, slide on down. There's like 250 written recommendations. They'll give you a good feel for what I do and who I do that with and what they're getting from it. To me, that's probably the best place to kind of test people out. If they're not getting those recommendations and they're not giving those recommendations, I'd be a little worried about working with them, right? Because people can present well. So I always suggest that. And I'm always open for conversations, to talk to people, to learn about them, to see what their needs are, to see if I can help them or to see if I can get them to the right people. And so I invite people to do that. Follow me. I'm big on follow first, and let's engage, and we'll go from there.
Thanks, Kevin. I appreciate it. And I can tell you that, Kevin and Brenda have been people that have been part of my LinkedIn community and family for several years now. I highly respect them and value them. I had the pleasure of meeting Brenda Miller in person in New York City last summer. That was great. I consider her a really good friend. And Kevin is someone I wish I could meet in person, but I heard that you met some of my other colleagues, including some from the TLB Club. So that was great. But you guys, and Kevin, I actually talk about you as the guy to learn about, about all things LinkedIn like features. So like you have that really unique brand, which is so awesome. So for the most part, I think that's really, really excellent for you that you've done that. So thanks so much for that. In terms of me, guys, like the two things, if you want to do, a TEDx talk, or you have an idea to share, you think it's going to be something that can change lives and elevate your business and brand and 10x your speaking, storytelling, whatever. I love TEDx talks. Go to my newsletter, but you can download this TEDx idea template in the QR code. It gives you the first steps to get your idea across. And then my next TEDx event actually is a 5-day challenge, 1 hour each day. 1 hour each day plus a bonus sixth hour, 6 hours 6 hours of access to me plus all my content, $100. And you can just take a look at this site here and see all the things that people are saying about it and what they're getting about it. And of course, finally, the Thought Leadership Brand Club is a membership community for small business owners. If you want to elevate yourself, you want to get access to library master classes, coaching calls, accountability, some amazing people in the group, access to all the speakers and all the people that are there, you can check it out and see kind of what the benefits are of being part of that group, being part of a safe, inclusive group where you share goals, you share wins. I just think there's just something really amazing about that. So I encourage you guys to check that out. So thanks to my speakers, thanks to all the amazing people who have been sharing their amazing, comments. We got a lot of engagement today, which is really great. So, like Ian says, this has been really good. Yeah, it has been really good because I think these guys that up here that I'm talking to are among the best in the business that I know. And I'm very, very pleased to, you can see someone scan the code. Yay.
You guys should keep scanning it because I get excited every time like something goes over my head and I'm like, oh, people are scanning it. So somebody scan it again because I want to see that. It's fun. I've never seen that. Is that like a restream feature, Robbie?
And again, listen, I use I use lots of tools, guys. So like, I've tried StreamYard, I've done Socially Active, I've done the other ones. To me, Restream is my favorite one, particularly with the multi-stream piece, the QR codes, the captions at the bottom, all the different things you're doing. So Brendan's you capture yourself. You do that to yourself. It's funny.
Brenda needs like a little one-arm bandit pull so they can spin us around. Because Brenda's she's getting stuck behind a lot of these stickers and and pop-ups. And I feel bad sitting in the middle.
I'm getting stuck behind the comments. But look at this. Brenda's marketing herself. Look at her. She's talking to us while we're talking. Like that's marketing, baby. So with that, guys.
My emoji next to my name too. That was what I was referring to earlier.
Yeah. That is good stuff, guys. All right. Well, listen, thanks so much, everybody. 3 viewers scanned the QR code. Holy shish kebab. That's great. Thanks so much. I'll see you guys out there. You know, I do a weekly events post every Monday. You can take a look at what I'm doing. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Brenda. You guys are amazing. And of course, I'll be promoting you guys with the social media.